बाय। मॉम डैड का वेकेशन डन। शादी का डिसीजन लिया, फ्लेक्सी लोन से और बोरो किया। प्रमोशन मिला तो ये लो थोड़ा लोन वापस कर दिया। थैंक यू। नए इंटीरियर्स का दिल किया, फ्लेक्सी लोन से फिर थोड़ा लिया। ईयर एंड बोनस मिला तो इस बार लोन ज्यादा वापस कर दिया। लाइफ में लेना देना चलता रहेगा तो लोन्स में क्यों नहीं। इसीलिए फ्लेक्सी लोन फ्रॉम बजाज फिनसर्व एक ऐसा लोन जो जब चाहे बोरो करे, जैसे चाहे रीपे करे, वो भी चुटकी में। थिंक इट डन विद बजाज फिनसर्व।
हेलो, हर सीजन के लिए नए इंटीरियर्स।
हाँ, वो भी हर रूम के लिए।
फ्रिज, स्मार्टफोन या बड़ा टीवी,
तीनों क्यों नहीं?
अरे ये तो शॉपिंग लिस्ट में नहीं था।
सो अब शॉपिंग कार्ट में तो है। सॉरी।
अच्छा, नए आउटफिट्स की विश लिस्ट।
विश क्यों? जस्ट ऐड टू कार्ट एंड बाय।
तो ये सब ईएमआई पे,
और वो भी चुटकी में। ऑन इंडियाज फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग ईएमआई नेटवर्क। थिंक इट डन विद बजाज फिनसर्व।
सर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। साहब, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। हुजूर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान।
अपनों को खुशियां दिलाना आसान नहीं बनाते तो आगे कैसे बढ़ते। इसीलिए हम जो भी करते हैं उसे बेहतर बनाते आ रहे हैं, बनाते रहेंगे। बजाज फिनसर्व, थिंक इट डन।
माँ के बेडरूम का एसी या लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई, लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई, लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई। पुणे, पटना, चेन्नई, मथुरा या फिर बेगूसराय, या फिर बेगूसराय। नए घर के लिए चाहिए 4K टीवी हाई फाई, या फिर वाइफ को चाहिए लेटेस्ट स्टाइल। EMI है ना, EMI है ना, मॉड्यूलर किचन में पुराना फ्रिज क्यों है भाई?
शादी है नहीं, मैट्रेस पुराना है भाई। अक्खा इंडिया बोले भाई प्राइजेस है हाई। बेस्ट ही खरीदना है तो अपने EMI स्टोर पर आए।
EMI है ना,
अब काशी हो या वाशी, महंगा लगे तो EMI और बेस्ट ही चाहिए तो भी EMI, क्योंकि बजाज फिनसर्व का EMI है ना। विजिट www.emistore.com।
EMI है ना, EMI है ना,
धोखा है धोखा, धोखा ना खाओ जी। इंश्योरेंस फ्रॉड से बचना है बहुत जरूरी जी। वो एजेंट है या फ्रॉड पता लगाओ जी। एक्स्ट्रा ऑफर के झांसे में कहीं फंस ना जाओ जी। अगर कोई अनजान कॉलर इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी डिटेल्स मांगे तो कह देना उनको मिलके स्कैम को एंड करो, हमेशा सेफ रहो जी। Always verify the caller and do not surrender your insurance for attractive offers. हमेशा सावधान रहे, safe रहे. Issued in the interest of public awareness by Bajaj Finserv. धोखा है धोखा, धोखा ना खाओ जी। जो होगा सो होगा, ऐसे ना सोचो जी। कॉल पे कोई पूछे OTP दो ना कह देना उनको। मिलके स्कैम को एंड करो, हमेशा सेफ रहो जी।
Being a hero is all about heart. It's not about ruling the world. It's about owning it. It's not about winning a race. It's about delivering a smile to the human race. It's about a spirit that just cannot be confined by geographies. It's about the heart that beats for the future and a soul that echoes the values of generations. And yet, being a hero is never about the hero. It's about the millions who celebrate them. Hero Motorcorp, the motorcycle leader. There's a gush of wind that hums a sweet song. There's a gush of wind that fights like a hero to fill the world with possibility. There's a gush of wind that jumps across oceans and mountains, embracing the entire planet. There's a gush of wind that blows away darkness. There's a gush of wind that blows for humanity. Because at Hero, we care.
In 1868, the Tata Group was founded on a philosophy that put the community at the heart of its existence. Today, we are $100 billion global enterprise. Our today has been built on enduring values. Our today is about delivering excellence across business sectors. Our today is about building a future-ready nation. Our today has a strong foundation with community at its core. Our today is dedicated to the communities we serve. is about more than just a day. Our today is a continuous journey for a better tomorrow. Tata. Leadership with trust.
Behold, the story of victory, of life over malady. Behold the saga of power, of science over sickness. Behold the tale of triumph, of dedication over disease. Behold the rise and rise of Catalan Pharmaceuticals Limited, one of India's largest privately held pharmaceutical companies based out of Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India. Catalan Pharmaceuticals was born out of the vision of a legend who left an indelible mark in the chronicles of Indian pharmaceuticals industry. He was Indravadan Ambalal Modi, the founder chairman of the company, rightfully christened as the medicine man of India. His vision to alleviate pain of the underprivileged through research-driven innovations has been driving Catalan Pharmaceuticals for more than 6 decades now. Innovations which are backed by the key strengths of the company, the state-of-the-art manufacturing and research facilities. The flagship manufacturing facility at Dholka, Gujarat, sprawls over 100 acres. This avant-garde facility is US FDA approved, besides meeting most of the stringent quality standards across the globe. It manufactures tablets, capsules, injectables, liquids, and orals. The second formulations manufacturing facility is located at Samba in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The API facilities at Ankleshwar, Gujarat, manufacture a large number of key APIs and intermediates at this US FDA and ISO 9002 and ISO 14001 accredited plant. The company also has set up its first ever overseas formulation manufacturing facility at Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. This world-class facility is the only WHO CGMP compliant manufacturing facility in the region. More than 850 products spread across 12 specialties with many of India's top brands in its basket. Great goals are defined by far-sighted vision and achieved by seamless teamwork. A multicultural, multilingual and multinational workforce of over 7,000 employees is truly the propelling power of the company. Not just in the domestic market, the company has a wide global footprint with over 1,000 marketing authorizations across 85 countries. Its international sales force of over 150 highly diversified and versatile personnel lends it an outreach that blankets the globe. As the company grows, so does its commitment to research. Manned by more than 350 scientists, the R&D facilities of Catalan Pharmaceuticals at Dholka, Gujarat is an institution of breakthrough innovations. To take the focus on innovation to the next level, it partners with leading international companies to discover newer treatments. The Catalan Pharmaceuticals group is gigantic. Its group companies complement and expand the dynamic vision of the company across new avenues of healthcare and newer fast-paced business areas. Catalan Pharmaceuticals is a gentle giant. Decades of dedicated research, groundbreaking healthcare innovations, and worldwide impact proves the infinite potential of one powerful emotion. Care. The success of Catalan Pharmaceuticals bears testimony to the fact that the care continues.
आने वाले कल की दस्तक हमें सुनाई देती है, नई मंजिल है जिस ओर हमें वो दिशा दिखाई देती है। नए इंडिया का नया जोश, नए इंडिया का नया जोश, नए जोश से निकल पड़े हम, आने वाला कल होगा हमारा, नए इंडिया का नया जोश।
और नए इंडिया के सफर में टेक्नोलॉजी की शक्ति लेकर आपका भागीदार रहेगा रिलायंस। नए इंडिया का नया जोश।
A very good afternoon to one and all, and very warm welcome to all of you for this very special session, which is on focusing on Industry 5.2, the factory of the future. We are very happy to have a very eminent panel, both representing the governments and the private sector, spanning across various countries. In fact, we have from Germany, we have from Ghana, Singapore, of course, India. And also we have senior government officials from Germany and India joining. But to moderate and chair the session, we are very happy to have Mr. Dilip Sawhney, who is a co-chairman of the CII Smart Manufacturing Council and the managing director of Rockwell Automation India Private Limited. Mr. Sawhney has 3 decades of experience in industrial automation and healthcare technology industries. In fact, he was the president of Automation Industry Association, AIA. And of course, as I mentioned, he is currently the chairman of the CII Smart Manufacturing Council. So take the session forward. I would like to now invite Mr. Sawhney, who will do the necessary introductions and take this forward. Once again, thank you, Mr. Sawhney, and thank you all speakers. I'm sure it will be a great session. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Rajesh. Thanks for that introduction. Really appreciate it. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you joining us from across the world and here in India. A very, very warm welcome to our distinguished panelists, to the guests and their delegates, joining us on the 27th edition of CII's Partnership Summit for the year 2021, and also to the session which is focused on Industry 5.0, the factory of the future. Now, speaking of the CII Partnership Summit, in the year 2021, the focus is partnering for building a new world, growth, competitiveness, sustainability, and technology. The summit has over 50 sessions spread over 3 days, including 7 country sessions. We have close to 200 speakers from more than 40 countries, which includes 20 overseas ministers, 7 Indian ministers. We got over 25 global CXOs and more than 100 heads of institutions, leaders, and experts from across the globe. We have delegate participation from more than 100 countries across these 3 days, and over 50 participants at the virtual investment pavilion that we've got. Now, on behalf of CII and also on my own personal behalf, may I extend a very, very special welcome to all our esteemed panelists and thank them for taking time off from their very busy schedules to participate in this session today. I'm delighted to first of all welcome Ms. Sumita Davra. Ms. Davra is the Additional Secretary, DPIIT, which is the Government of India's Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. We also have Mr. Ernest Stock Ukal. He's the Head of Digitization Industry 4.0 at the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy for Germany. We have Dr. Suzanne Bieler. She is the General Secretary for IFR, which is the International Federation of Robotics. We have Mr. Robert O'Keen, who's the CEO of Better World Systems Ghana, also known as BUSYS. And we have also with us Mr. Douglas Fu. Mr. Fu is the President of Singapore Manufacturing Federation and also the Vice Chairman of Singapore Business Federation, as well as the Vice President of Singapore National Employees Federation. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Chandrasekhar Bharti, who, in addition to being a member of the CII Smart Manufacturing Council, is also the founder and managing director of ACE Micrometic MIT. All right, so first of all, a very, very warm welcome to all of you panelists. I'm going to quickly move on to the session, which certainly promises to be an engaging affair. Just to set the context. Now, we've been, of course, witnessing a trend towards industry at large that is embracing digital technologies to drive efficiency and productivity, and also to overcome complexity. And the idea of factories of the future, it's manufacturing companies embracing Industry 4.0 opportunities to their fullest extent. What we've been beginning to notice is that the narrative is already shifting towards what's called as Industry 5.0, which goes well beyond just digitization or digitalization into the aspects related to human-centric elements and those that are related to sustainability, circular economy, and other areas like resiliency and so forth, right? All of this is very well, but to many, the moot point is, should we be talking about Industry 5.0 when Industry 4.0 adoption itself is lagging in many parts of the global manufacturing ecosystem, right? Some say that the answer is that we must always be looking ahead, while at the same time assisting the broad basing of existing technologies, across the globe and also here in India. Now, under Industry 4.0, the manufacturing of high value-added product, and responding to fast-changing market demands in an agile way, enabling factories to keep playing an important role that they have in an evolving and a dynamic global production network is very important. Factories of future focus on digitizing their processes and getting the most out of new production technologies, as well as managing aspects like energy and materials in an ever more increasingly circular fashion, right? In the post-pandemic era that we are now in, this era has really led to a sharp acceleration and has brought about, a transformation where organizations are much more aggressively leveraging digital technologies in various businesses, right? And this is, pushing us towards the notion of Industry 5.0. Globally, countries and enterprises are looking towards Industry 5.0, which would have people working alongside robots and smart machines. The infusion of digital services into manufacturing processes is rapidly escalating, with, R&D, and new age technologies, 5G, AI, IoT, and other services that are being adopted at a very, very fast pace now. This also implies that there is now a significant convergence of manufacturing and services in the evolving manufacturing regime as well. Now, talking about CII, CII in its endeavor to help industry adopt smart or Industry 4.0 is working across the board with organizations to embrace adopt and implement these technologies. And with this, holistic approach and also handholding organizations towards building a roadmap to ensure a phase-wise adoption of technology and making sure that everything from infrastructure to governance to competencies are well integrated and aligned, right? Our focus eventually is to help the industry build the factories of the future. That's what we are talking about today. But in a sense that they're fully digital plants that deploy Industry 4.0 concepts to achieve results that are sustainable, consistent, but also scalable, right? Now, what we found is that businesses that fully understand and capture the value and the essence of these technologies and the advantages that come along with it are going to be much more well-positioned to take on the challenges that lie ahead for us, because these challenges are pretty significant, right? So what I would like to do is I'm going to begin by requesting our esteemed panelists, to start off by making brief opening remarks about their perspectives on this emerging regime, and then I would like to segue into a more question-answer oriented session in the remaining time. And I would like to begin with you, Ms. Davra. Would you please be able to share with us your thoughts and also some comments on how DPIIT is getting all the line ministries to work in the direction of digital transformation, right? So over to you, Ms. Davra.
Thank you very much, and very happy to be part of today's discussions. My greetings to all the participants to the 27th edition of the CII Partnership Summit on Industry 5.0, the Factory of the Future. Let me be frank, I have been looking forward to the session as a means to learning more and seeing if I can get more insights into what's happening and what we should be imbibing more on the aspect of Industry 5.0. We are all working towards the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister of Make in India and becoming a $5 trillion USD economy, with $1 trillion USD coming from manufacturing sector by 2025. And to achieve this, we have done a lot of reforms, and we had a good session yesterday during the Partnership Summit, where we discussed the reforms journey and how India is becoming more investor friendly. The ecosystem is developing very rapidly, and there's been a lot of contribution from the reforms and schemes such as the production linked incentive schemes, and the central and state governments are working together to bring in more investment strongly. At the same time, we do recognize that the Indian firms need to become globally competitive, and that's where smart manufacturing is extremely relevant, and it's a key to helping the industry scale up. Like you just rightly said, that we need technologies and challenges that are sustainable, achievable, and scalable. For us to compete at the global level and to be an integral part of the global value chains and to be ready to drive positive disruption, it is very important that we become part of the technological advances and integrate the new technologies as part of our manufacturing. And MSMEs play an important role in this. They form the backbone of the Indian industry, and that's where we do need focused effort to help them unleash their potential by harnessing, deploying the power of Industry 4.0. And the larger players will also need to play their role by hand-holding MSMEs on the Industry 4.0 journey. I was trying to see the distinction between Industry 4.0 and Industry 5.0, and I do understand that Industry 4.0 conceptualizes rapid change in technology and industry and the processes and the increasing journey towards interconnectivity and smart automation. And Industry 5.0 provides a vision which is beyond just efficiency and productivity as the sole aim, and reinforces the role of contribution of industry to society. So I look forward to the session to also understanding better what really, if my understanding is correct. But as we continue our journey towards transformative change in manufacturing, it's very important that industry is cognizant of the choices which they are making, because that's going to determine collectively how far we are going to go as a nation to become more competitive, facilitate development, and address the societal challenges. There are new opportunities emerging in during the post-pandemic time. There are new opportunities which are emerging. It's a knowledge-driven era, and India is exploring and developing technologies to achieve aspirational goals. Smart manufacturing at this time is a paradigm shift from centralized manufacturing and production to a decentralized process, referring to the computerization, digitization, full-scale automation, and creation of smart factories. And this will also require changes in the business models. And this is where we face even greater challenges, where the changes in the organizational culture is also as integral to the adoption of Industry 5.0 as technology. And the impact of all this in disrupting the existing patterns and redefining boundaries between economic and industrial sectors, between buyers, sellers, and so on, is going to be profound. The breakthroughs in digital technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, 3D printing, Internet of Things, combined with nano and biotechnology and advanced material sciences, it is spearheading the fourth industrial revolution, and India is a very much part of this vibrant change which is taking place in the world. We are cognizant of the need and urgency to embrace the emerging technologies and the challenges which the novel disruptive technologies present to us. And DPIT is a nodal government department which coordinates with the other departments to promote industry. And this is one aspect where we've been working closely with the CII and also with the multilateral organizations, and bringing in the dialogue necessary to bring in such a change to the industrial manufacturing and model and the business models. And I'm very happy to share that there are various initiatives being presently undertaken by various departments for actualizing the development of the various technologies, be it mega facilities for R&D, for creation of infrastructure for R&D, manufacturing complex information systems, or the data systems, the technology development, transfer, the technology foresighting, cyber physical systems, and so on. There have been significant initiatives across departments in developing the supply side of several technologies in the country. And I'm happy to note that CII is also taking forward the initiative on the agreement signed between Germany and India and Enterprise Singapore India for partnering on the smart manufacturing platform. I would like to commend CII also for the efforts which they have made with the Department of Heavy Industry on the initiative of Samarth Udyog. As I said, we are already working across the ministries and also with multilateral organizations and CII and also the other industry associations on taking forward the knowledge on the technological partnerships. And DPIT will continue to work closely with the Indian industry for furthering our understanding and knowledge on the key technology components to foster the smart manufacturing journey, including the usage of the blockchain technologies. I wish the participants all the very best and look forward to the deliberations today. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Zavra. You covered a very wide array of topics in your comments. And you also mentioned about your interest in knowing more about Industry 4.0 and delve more into Industry 5.0. Well, we got just the right set of experts to explore this area thoroughly. I'm going to quickly move on ahead and move to my other panelists to share their opening comments very briefly. And what I'm going to be requesting each one of you is to also shine some light briefly on how do you see the current adoption of Industry 4.0 in your respective areas of work. And also, if you could please touch upon, what can be done to enable manufacturers, who may be lagging behind a little bit, in terms of their adoption of Industry 4.0 itself before we move to 5.0. So very quickly, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Pukal. If I can invite you to just briefly make your opening comments along these lines.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be a speaker or a panelist today to this really serious question about Industry 4.0 or 5.0. I think it's more a theoretical question to name it 4 or 5.0. As far as we are concerned in Europe or in Germany, we just stick to the term Industry 4.0. I will tell you why. We think that, or that's my perception, that we have reached maybe 5 to 10% of what Industry 4.0 concepts make. Because in the concept of Industry 4.0, at the very first moment, was not only about automation and lot size 1 products, very flexible production. It was always thought to be system, a network. And what we see now, that we really start to see a change from value chains to more flexible value networks. And this makes a big difference. And I think we still have a long way to go to see those flexible networks, but it's starting now. I would say that we will have in 5 to 10 years, almost every company, even manufacturing company, will be more or less a digital company, well connected in flexible networks. And this to organize is extremely difficult. And it was said before that we will see completely new business models. It was said before that we need a new culture. Because my perspective to Industry 4.0 is not only how to have a perfect production, a smart production. This is already possible easily today. It's costly because some systems are missing, and it's very costly for SMEs to do smart manufacturing because we still are lacking of standards and of experience and of cooperation needs. But smart factories are available and you have it, yeah. But to connect those smart factories along the value chain and along the life cycle of a product, that means for us that you have to think the whole value chain. And this is far beyond manufacturing. You have to see the product, the user, the life cycle of a product, and you have to start with the design. And you announced me today, and this was completely right a few days ago, as a representative of the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy. We still are in charge of energy. We have a new government since last Wednesday in Germany, but our ministry was renamed in Economic Affairs and Climate Protection. And there is something which is quite interesting because you only can, you have to use digitalization for climate protection as well. Only with digital tools and digital concepts and new business models, there will be sustainability, there will be circular economy. And these concepts are at the very beginning, but I think it has a tremendous impact on the system. So what I want to say, we will have in future a data economy, and the main problem, maybe we can dive into that, and I heard it before a little bit, we will have data-driven business in the future, data-driven business models for sustainability, and so on and so on. And we are still at the very beginning to understand how data-driven business works in complex production networks, for example. And this is a real challenge because it means that we need a complete cultural change. Industry 4.0, maybe a last sentence, includes also sustainability in the field of good work or of future work. And we know that we have to prepare the workforce to the future requirements of those complex networks, which is completely different. And this is a challenge in all countries, in Germany as well as in India. And this is what we should work on in the next years. But it won't be easy, but I think we will see tremendous change which affects all of us and all companies. Thank you so far.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you so much, Mr. Pokal. Thanks for sharing those insights. Again, you covered a big breadth of topics and also an interesting point of view. As per you, only 10% of the potential of Industry 4.0 is explored so far, and that's a great thought to begin with. And also very interesting to note, the new name of the ministry that you belong to, which is climate protection. Very interesting and very insightful. I'm going to come to you next, Dr. Beeler, to invite you to share your opening comments, please.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I'm happy to be at this summit, and yeah, for us it's pretty much a new term. So I haven't come across the term Industry 5.0 before, but it's actually a very good term, as it's an umbrella for all the activities that the robotics industry currently is pursuing. So let's maybe start with the term Industry 4.0 that has been now introduced 10 years ago already. So there has been a lot of development, and you mentioned, and also Mr. Stöckel-Puchal mentioned, we need standards for this. So I'm happy to report that my colleagues also in Germany from BDMA, together with the OPC Foundation, are heavily working on developing those standards. So there's an overarching OPC UA standard, but there also need to be developed machine-specific standards. So the robot can talk to the plastic molding machine and so on. So we need all those communication tools. That's the standards, and that's being developed. We're already in the implementation phase, and the standards are brought on the to the next level currently. So there's a lot of collaboration in the industry we're currently seeing. So we are on a good stage there. So we see the first robots in the field that actually can use this technology, and this will be improving over time. But more generally, for us, it was always the robot being in the focus of the whole concept of Industry 4.0. And it's not only the smart, the connected robot, but it's also the smart robot that can collaborate with humans. So it's the cobot, and the cobot, or the basic concept of the cobot, is even older than the concept of Industry 4.0, was introduced 15 years ago already. It's constantly being developed, and we are certainly benefiting from improvements in sensor technology, from improvements in AI. And if we combine a lot of benefits we are seeing from AI, the robot is able to sense and respond to its environment. And so that combined will be developed to the next stage, where the robot can actually see what the human is doing and can adapt its own motion to the motion or the movements of the human. So that's the kind of the next level of human-robot collaboration, will be that not only the human can react to the robot and the robot takes care that the human is not injured, but it's really a truly responsive collaboration that we are seeing at the next level. And we're not there yet, but we are seeing all the pieces of technology are there yet. And if we combine them in the next level, we'll see this truly responsive collaboration. And I think this is the core, one key and core element of the concept of Industry 5.0, where you really have the human in the focus, and it's not the dark factory that many people have in mind when they are talking about Industry 4.0, but it's really the smart factory where the human is still in the loop, because we will not be able to have a full automation, because there are so many tasks we cannot fully automate, because the human is much more skilled and much more prepared to fulfill those tasks. So that will be the future. And then there's another trend that's then finally coming in there, which is the sustainability. And although this is nothing that is new to the robotics industry, and we've developed energy friendly, less energy consuming robots, we are seeing that by using robots, we actually get more material efficient, because we can produce with less waste. There's less rejects in the production. The production is more precise using the robots. So that overall is a part of the sustainability. And we saw that the topic became a bit less in the focus in the past year of the pandemic, of course, but now with the trend to more localized production to protect the supply chains, we actually see that the robots and the topic of sustainability and energy saving robot comes back into the focus. We are, for example, seeing that the automotive industry in Germany is really already starting to change their sourcing. So when they procure the robots, they will not only look at the pure price, but they are taking the total cost of ownership into the focus. So it's the total energy consumption over the lifetime of a robot, which typically is on average 12 years, that's taken into account. So that is the next steps toward a more sustainable consumption. And last but not least, the robots can help us to produce energy-friendly technology, renewable energy technologies like solar cells and wind power at a competitive price in all parts of the world. And we'll also see that battery production, the production of electric vehicles, which will be also the next step on the road to sustainability, is not possible without robots. So in a sense, the technology has been there, and Industry 5.0, I think, is the concept that tries to bring all these pieces of technologies together and kind of can be used as an umbrella term. So.
Well, thank you so much for those thoughts. And, again, a different perspective, but, you brought in also a very, very interesting concept of Industry 5.0, not bringing in the dark factory where there's no human, but a smart factory where humans and machines are working synergistically. Thank you so much, Dr. Beeler. I'm going to turn to you now, Mr. O'Keen, to share your opening comments, please.
Okay, greetings to all participants joining us on this very important topic. It's always an honor to discuss ways of providing life-changing solutions that sustainably enrich lives and sustainably transform organizations by leveraging digital technologies to reduce inequality gap. So I'll look at it from before the pandemic. Discussions on technological transformation seem to be very futuristic. However, the pandemic has demonstrated that the future is now, which has motivated and even required businesses to leverage digital technologies to survive and thrive. Aside from this, the pandemic also exposed companies to another condition of making decisions with limited resources in highly uncertain situation. In essence, what I'm saying is this meant that businesses needed to adopt some intuitive approaches in their pandemic recovery or business continuity plans and strategies. Personally, I've witnessed this within my own company, where digital innovations we were aspiring to launch in 2025 will be released in 2022 because the pandemic has changed the nature and dynamic of work across industries. Now for post-pandemic, I see ICT being a critical accelerator for driving innovation and competitive excellence in all sectors, from manufacturing to services. I believe this because when you look across value chains of businesses today, you recognize that insight from data collection, data analytics, and sharing significantly influence innovation and operational excellence. Extremely agile organizations that leverage digital technologies and data insights are better positioned to make evidence-based decisions effectively and efficiently. The success of any tech-based operations also depends on other related services, including digital technology services, R&D, logistics, and marketing. As a CEO of a tech company that has evolved during the pandemic, I recognize that technology alone is not enough for the business success because the business operates in the market environment where you make decisions about your customers, suppliers, employers, and external stakeholders. And if you look at this, it comes to the issue around human-centric. All what we are talking about It's to enrich the lives of humans first, to make our life better. So we can never take the human out. All what we are doing is to make life better for humans. So services like R&D and marketing are essential to profitably navigate the business environment. During and post-pandemic, hopefully, tech-enabled services and solutions accelerate how we leverage these related services for operational excellence and market competitiveness. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. O'Keen. Again, a very unique perspective, and coming from your own personal experience, like you said, as a business leader, reading an organization, particularly during these times. And I like the manner in which you framed some of the things around driving this transformation while focusing on sustainability aspects and reducing inequality and so forth. So thanks for sharing those thoughts. I'm going to turn to you now, Mr. Douglas Fu. Mr. Fu, may I invite you to make your opening comments, please?
Thanks, Dilip. Distinguished speakers and participants, distinguished delegates and participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good day to all of you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be invited here today, representing Singapore Manufacturing Federation, or SMF, to share some views on the topic on converging manufacturing services, emerging scenarios for competitiveness. First, please allow me to give a brief introduction to SMF. SMF was established in 1932 and is one of the oldest associations in Singapore. Currently, we have about 5,000 members, comprising of SMEs, MNCs, joint venture companies, and we're certainly looking forward to celebrating our 90th anniversary next year in 2022. Our members' companies represent the entire value chain of the whole ecosystem, covering quite a wide range. And like CII, SMF provide our member companies the opportunity to network with our companies in similar trade, and we do webinars like these to collaborate and learn from each other. As an advocate of the Singapore manufacturing community, SMF mission is to further the sector's growth and facilitate its competitiveness and sustainability. And we're indeed very honored and glad to have this opportunity today to share and learn from each other. To combat the travel restrictions arising from the COVID-19 pandemic, SMF has been quick to recognize the need to switch to the virtual platforms. We've been talking about this digitization, this I 4.0 for quite a while, but I think the COVID-19, something that was positive that came out was many companies were actually pushed to very quickly move onto the virtual platforms and moving into digitalization. And recognizing the need to adopt these digital tools for business resilience, we set up a Manufacturing Alliance Transformation Office just beginning of this year called MATO to help our manufacturers innovate their process through digital transformation. MATO actually helped to assess and identify the participating companies' challenges in going digital and help them to match with suitable solutions provider who offer support for these companies in their I 4.0 journey. Through our MATO initiative, we have assisted about 100 SMEs to date and to understand their challenges and provide them with solutions to embark on the transformation to become resilient in their operations. And as the companies go through this digital transformation, the other part that is very important is a skilled workforce. We thus also use this MATO vehicle to equip the companies and the people actually with the right skill sets, redesigning in order to have a successful implementation of the I 4.0. And this through partnerships with other trade associations and chambers. On behalf of SMF, I'd like to offer help in sharing our experience in assisting our SMEs in this area towards I 4.0 to our good friend and partner, namely CII, should there be interest on this area. Please let me know. To help our member companies to elevate the cost of digitalization, we launched SMF X Tier Fund, which offers targeted support to the SMEs. Through these funds, the SMF helps to build and improve their capabilities through business model innovation, digitalization, reskill and upskill of workers through training. We are committed to having a sustainable future for the next generation and happy to report and share that we have actually adopted the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals back in 2017 as part of our guidelines in our business processes for a few years now. This has led us to be one of the first trade associations in Singapore to be recognized as an eco-office. And to help our members embark on their sustainability journey, SMF has formed a sustainability task force to understand their challenges and help them find solutions to become more sustainable. Besides organizing various activities for member companies, SMF actively organizes enterprises to consider new business opportunities beyond Singapore. In fact, we have a dedicated service division to facilitate internalization efforts, where companies are being helped to find business partners with overseas companies across the entire globe. Through these dedicated services, we have assisted our enterprise to expand overseas, find new supply chains through trade exhibitions, market conference, briefings, business missions, and business matching. I'm proud to say that even though 2020, we had the COVID-19 pandemic, we're able to roll over 400 online, offline, hybrid business industry events, dialogues, engagements, activities to share and guide our member companies in their business journey. And we also believe strongly in having a partnership and collaboration, and we have signed MOUs with trade federations from within and beyond our shores. One of the most valuable MOU partner is, of course, the Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, with whom SMF has partnered for over 20 years. I take this opportunity to record our sincere appreciation to the friendship and fellowship that CII has consistently given. Please allow me now to share with you some insights into Singapore's manufacturing landscape. Although small, with limited landmass to build industrial parks, Singapore has a robust manufacturing sector contributing about 21% or around 106 billion Singapore dollars of Singapore's total GDP. Our manufacturing sector is one of the few exceptions, together with Japan, Korea, and Germany, which has maintained or grown the sector to contribute around a fifth of the country's GDP in challenging economic times of COVID-19. Singapore's manufacturing sector is also competitively globally. According to a 2021 Bloomberg Innovative Index, Singapore is ranked second most innovative nation and third globally for manufacturing value add. According to the World Bank Open Data for high technology exports, Singapore is also the fourth largest exporter of high technology goods in the world. Against this backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic, Singapore's manufacturing sector has remained surprisingly resilient and continues to report positive growth, with manufacturing output increasing by 7.3% last year. In fact, in a recent monthly manufacturing performance report, Singapore manufacturing output increased 16.9% on a year-on-year basis, with all the clusters, namely precision engineering, transport engineering, general manufacturing, chemicals, electronics, and biomedical manufacturing recording an output growth. Our manufacturing sector, which contributes about 20% Singapore's GDP, has actually been given a new mandate. In the beginning of the year, there's an announcement by the Singapore government for a 10-year plan to make Singapore manufacturing increase by 50% by 2030. And with this 10-year plan, Singapore's manufacturing sector is poised to become even more dynamic, with an educated and readily skilled workforce coupled with a resilient and agile manufacturing sector. SMF, as a voice and champion, will be committed to continue to partner our Singapore on this nation-building project. Collaboration is a key driver for growth. In this regard, Singapore and India have long since enjoyed good diplomatic ties with one another since historical times. And even after 1965, when Singapore gained independence, India was among the first countries to establish such ties with Singapore. In 2015, our two countries commemorated the 50th anniversary of establishing formal diplomatic relations. Our countries signed the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, CECA, in 2005, eliminating tariff barriers and thus giving our countries' companies better access to each other's markets. This agreement has seen Singapore becoming India's fifth largest trading partner worldwide in 2017 and the third largest trading partner in ASEAN. As of 2020, more than 8,000 Indian companies are based in Singapore, while some 500 Singapore companies are involved in a wide range of businesses in India. We certainly look forward to engaging and partnering with CII to collaborate in facilitating member companies of CII and SMF to work on this I4.0 journey as into the post-pandemic era. Thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to a robust and meaningful discussion. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Fu, for sharing those thoughts and also commenting on the close partnership that exists between Singapore and India, and also between CII and the Singapore Manufacturing Federation. I'm going to quickly turn over to you, Mr. Bharti, right now. Very briefly, your opening thoughts, because I'm very keen to also tap into the brain trust I have available on this panel to ask a few questions. So, Mr. Bharti, just very quickly, and then we'll start off with the Q&A.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity, CII, and thanks to all the participants here. I want to just contextualize what I'm going to say. AS Micromatic is India's largest manufacturer of CNC machine tools and automation products, and with almost a 40% market share. And the perspective that I bring to Industry 4 is how do we really help our customers and the manufacturing ecosystem get far more efficient in a sustainable fashion. And one of the areas of resonance that I have with what Ms. Davra said is it's very important for us to be able to get the MSMEs to attain a sustainable level of high efficiency and productivity, and the ability to do that across multiple changes in leadership, which is what we have been doing from the last almost a dozen years, where we have literally transformed hundreds and thousands of installations where the productivities have almost doubled. And like, what Mr. Pukal said, I believe that Industry 4 by itself is, like the story of the elephant. It depends on what makes sense in terms of use cases to each one of them. And the more we're able to make the technology implementation flexible enough to meet those different use cases, the greater resonance and adoption we'll have in the years to come, which is what our focus has been across almost more than 15,000 installations that we have in India and other countries outside India as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bharti, for keeping it crisp and also giving us a point of view on where you're coming from. So that gives me an opportunity to now start exploring some of the nuances around what we're here to talk about, which is Factory of the Future. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Pukal. And what I would like to invite you to share with us, is your insights on this topic, right? It takes a vast array of stakeholders, to bring about a transformation to smart manufacturing or to Industry 4.0. Apart from a manufacturer or a factory itself, it takes governments for enabling policies, institutions for the R&D Connect, etc. And of course, the upskilling of the workforce. So the workforce element also is there. How can all of these be converged in an accelerated manner to ensure that there is synchronized adoption? And what can individual firms and organizations, both local and global, do in this effort? Your thoughts on that?
I think it's not an easy question, because we are talking in the future about very complex ecosystems which we have to build. I said it before, it's not about a single company just optimizing its processes. It's just cooperating with others to share data, and this in a very flexible manner. And this is today only very limited possible. So we have to bring in all partners, all stakeholders. We start in Germany also with the trade unions, because the trade unions have to support these processes. They have to understand it. We have to do this future education, the future skills, which are constantly changing. And there is a lot of things to do, because we can't just educate people and then stop it the rest of its life. So it's very much more complicated processes, and there we need support by governance, by trade unions, and in particular by companies. They have to cooperate themselves how to organize future skills development. Then we have the once you want to share data, maybe it's very special in Europe, but I don't think it's limited to Europe. Companies are still not ready to share data. So we need a system which builds a trust that data is shared, that the benefit of data sharing is not only with the big companies and not with the small companies, because then they will never participate. Yeah, since we have in Europe, we started this Gaia X project, yeah, where we say we need a trustful environment where data sharing can thrive, where can develop, yeah, and only if we have this openness, this interoperability, which is not there completely, because we have many cloud providers on their own, they live from login effects, yeah. The more login, the higher your profits, yeah, which is normal, yeah. But we have to bring new digital ecosystems. By the way, we are really thinking about in Europe, we have a big project together with 12 member states, where we want to have a cloud edge system of the future, which will be completely open and for example, real-time capable, yeah, because systems of today are not reliable enough to do complicated network systems. As soon as you need real time, it won't work. And the more special, the more advanced business models became, yeah, the more innovation, the more quality you need on all sides. So we invest as a government. But most important, we have one, if somebody is interested, you can look on the website as well. Yeah, we have, for example, the Catena X project in the automotive sector. What it is about, it's really about how to say, clothing the complete value chain digitally, to have the transparency and to have somehow a data space where you are ready to share data. And this project develops use cases from CO2 footprint, from quality management to others. And everything will be open source. It's a global project, if you want to say so. Yeah, it gains already a lot of attention. It started in August. But the main idea is not only to say the big OEMs have to do a data space and then to say how it works, yeah, but how to get connected all the SMEs. And we know one thing, and this is the challenge we face here in Germany as well, yeah, how to connect all partners, all small and middle-sized companies, the whole value chain to these ecosystems. And this is very, very difficult, but we think these days difficult. And if it's for a small company, it costs in Germany many thousand euros, they won't do it. Yeah, if they don't trust the data sharing, that their data is controlled by them itself, then it becomes difficult. And this is the questions we have to deal with today. Yeah? And for us, as I said before, it's still part of Industry 4.0, but we should not talk so much of 4.0 or 5.0, but to understand what is changing. Yeah, and once you understand the vision, you can go step by step. Last word, we really think that the economy will change dramatically, and this has an effect for each single manufacturing company in a few years.
Sure. Well, thank you, Mr. Pokal. And you said it. It's not an easy question, and that was the reason I posed it to you. But thanks for sharing those insights, and also around how to get all the the connectivity, transparency, trust, and getting everyone to share data. Some pretty significant challenges that we have to collectively overcome. Thanks for those insights. I'm going to come to you, Mr. Bharti, now, and my question to you is: help us, explore. Is it possible to undertake selective implementation of elements of factories of the future, or is it only to be done as a full-scale adoption? Recognizing that companies cannot get by with a one-size-fits-all approach when implementing Industry 4.0. What are your thoughts?
I think that's a great question to ask, Dilip, and it's one that we have approached by ensuring that people can start to consume what they believe would give them the greatest ROI, and that actually starts a virtuous cycle where they get the ROI, they get the belief, it deploys horizontally, and then they start expanding it to other areas or other use cases, which would then eventually expand at some point of maybe an inflection stage, a big bang approach to yes, our whole company needs to be digitally transformed. But what we believe, at least in the context of SMEs, is that till they're able to get a few cycles of ROI done with specific use cases, front loading an entire industry for implementation may not be something that the SMEs will be able to undertake. Now, that's in contrast to, I'd like to share with our own story as a corporate. Earlier, a CNC machine would probably take close to 20 days to build. Now, through a combination of various factors, including Industry 3, Industry 4, and a lot of other processes being optimized, we've got the 20 days down to 1 hour.
Wow.
So that's the kind of ROI that we've been able to get to through smart use of different technologies and different process optimizations. But to get there, I think companies need to see a lot more happening on a day-to-day basis, and much more than the proof of the technology itself, they need to be able to believe that their team and their people will actually be able to pull it off and sustain it for quite some time.
Well said. And the example that you gave, is quite, if I can use the word breathtaking. 20 days down to 1 hour. You're really, a shining example of the business impact that can be created. But also completely agree with your point of view on SMEs particularly not being particularly inclined to front load all the investment. It's important to build trust on the technology. Thanks for sharing those thoughts, Mr. Bharti. I'm going to turn to you next, Mr. O'Keen. And I'm going to ask you to share with us, coming from the background you're coming from, and your organization having scaled up during the pandemic times. Manufacturing industries are in general on the verge of this data-driven revolution, right? And companies, going forward are going to have to collaborate in hyper-connected value networks, as Mr. Pokal also was alluding to, right? As we imagine a world like that, how much of this do you think is realizable now, right? As in the near term versus the future, right? How much of this value is realizable immediately?
Yeah, so I think, again, the pandemic really accelerated so many things, and it will continue to do so. We used to say that's the new normal. I now say it is not a new normal. This is a normal now. This conference or summit would have been organized face-to-face. Today, people will ask questions and challenge a budget for travel all over the world, meaning so many things have changed, and systems will need to talk to each other. Technologies will need to be available to make all those things happen. Technology companies, governments are investing into high-speed internet connectivity, the same way they are investing into transformation in factories and all those things. Systems already talk to each other one way or the other. You can look at the banking system. If you're able to transfer money from India all the way to, let's say, Ghana, it's systems talking to each other that makes it possible. If I'm able to place an order from Ghana all the way from Amazon.com, these are systems talking to each other. If I'm able to go to Amazon and Amazon tells me the item that I'm looking at, other people looked at this item, meaning we are building systems and enhancing our processes based on evidence information out there. So again, the future and the present, it's here with us. What is happening now is it's again around human-centric. It's focusing on the human. What is happening gradually is the barriers or within the value chain, suppliers, distributors are being more or less merged into the customer straight to the manufacturer. So now the manufacturing companies are readily having information to understand the ever-evolving demands of customers. Quickly, you get information, you know what you're supposed to produce, you need to change maybe your supply chain setup. So when you start having systems that are rigid and difficult to change around, then you have a problem. And again, companies that are evolving and understand the times that we find ourselves, will be here today, they'll be here tomorrow, and they'll be here so many years to come. So it is here with us at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. O'Kane. And I love the way in which you said that there is no new normal. This is the normal now. And I think that sets us in the right frame of mind, while approaching this discussion. Thank you. I'm going to turn to you, Mr. Fu, now. My question to you is, combining automation and continuous upskilling is the only way that countries and manufacturing enterprises are going to become globally competitive, and also to build a sustainable advantage, when you're talking about factories of the future. So my real question is, what is the role of the governments? How can companies collaborate with governments to make this happen? Just picking up from where you left.
Sure. Thanks, Dilip. In Singapore for a long time, it's always been very much government-led policy making. But underlying it, many people probably may not be aware that there's a strong tripartite relations between what Mr. Pukal talked about, the unions, the trade unions. Singapore, we call the NTUC, the National Trade Union Congress, the Employers Federation, and the government, namely the Ministry of Manpower. And that the underlying tripartite relations have actually seen us going through different economic cycles, recessions in the 1985 to the financial crisis in 98 and 2008. And that requires different stakeholders, the employers, the enterprises, and the workforce, namely represented by the labor movement, the unions, to take different aspects and different trade-offs at different times. And that is actually balanced by the government policies. So in the recent times, we have actually this industry transformation map that we're trying to transform the various enterprise and also the workforce. So while we are moving on the Industry 4.0, what we've actually essentially done, we have started to set up companies training committees. So within the company, other than just waiting for the company to build their new business innovation, we're getting the workforce to bring onto the table a discussion about the future of factories as well, the future of manufacturing. So it is not a model that is already conceived, and then all plans are laid out, and then we then execute it, getting the workforce trained and skilled, but getting them involved even in the planning, because that gives them an ownership, and also the talent that we are actually training as well. So these coming training committees have actually helped to expedite, and these are supported by the government policies, because there are certain help that you need in order for especially the small medium enterprises to move onto a journey of this manner, because most of the SMEs is the day-to-day that they are trying to do. In fact, going forward, I just wanted to actually work on what Mr. OK has mentioned. The future is really where the additive manufacturing, the 3D printing are going to shift the whole manufacturing space. So right now, you manufacture goods to be stored in warehouses to be then distributed in different places, whether e-commerce or the physical stores. But the future is really where the data collection of when the consumer needs a certain product, and the manufacturer knows when to produce it near to where the consumer requires it. So the whole supply chain, the whole logistic movement is going to all change. And that requires an entire ecosystem, where I think today the many panelists have mentioned that the whole ecosystem is going to shift. And that shift of the whole is going to be very seismic shift, because the whole thought process, the whole thinking is going to be very different. And the products that the consumer are going to get are going to be able to be customized. And in this kind of situation, how can SMEs participate? Actually, SMEs have even more opportunity to participate, because if factories have got excess capacity and the small enterprises can utilize those capacities to manufacture a component or product that they can see a consumer requires, I think they can be in business as well. So the business model innovation and the optimization of facilities going forward is more like how you see in the ride hailing, like cars moving around with empty seats. What about factories around the world now being highly optimized? And the owners of the factories will be happy as well, because usually the owners will build a larger than over capacity in order to see sometimes their seasonal requirements. But if during those downtime, there's a manufacturing as a service and other enterprises able to use that, as what Mr. Pukal has mentioned, the data sharing, the open-mindedness, I think that is the way going forward. And I humbly think that's where we're going to see in the whole ecosystem, where the government will then set up certain framework and certain intellectual property, data protection in the new digital economy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fu. You not only addressed the topic that I wanted to explore with you, but you also touched upon this consumer-driven seismic shift, as you put it, right? And I particularly like the manner in which you spoke about manufacturing as a service. It's a very interesting paradigm, and all of these things are a part of what you categorized as the seismic shift that's going to occur. Thanks for those thoughts and the insights. Let me come to you now, Dr. Beeler. You can probably help me bring this all together. And my question to you is very simple. How can factories of the future achieve concrete and quantifiable gains, right? How do you get to the big benefits, right, that we are expecting out of these transformations, right? In terms of efficiency, flexibility, costs, and all of the other benefits that we are hoping to achieve, as these transformations continue to unleash.
I mean, I think it's a common knowledge that if we're deploying these technologies and that robotics, of course, at the forefront, we are making companies more productive or more competitive, which will actually be one of the drivers to enable also to look at different topics like the sustainability. I mean, at the end, it's all consumer driven, of course, and I think in the future we see much more the consumer changing their purchasing behavior in a sense that they are looking more into and requiring more of this resource efficient, material efficient, energy efficient production. So that is a driver by the customer itself, and the manufacturers by deploying the different technologies we mentioned initially will just be able to reap most benefits. So we're seeing that the human is in the center of a human robot collaboration. So the human really can do what he's skilled best at, and the robot will add to these skills and bring in a kind of empower and also augment the human facilities. And with that, the products become much higher in quality. The prices will go down. So overall, we can afford more products while throwing less away. I think that's kind of the paradigm shift we need in the future, is to be really also in consummation being more long-term sustainability aware. And so what else do we need? We need the production to be competitive, to make country. I mean, in the long run, I think it's looking at not only the companies being sustainable and competitive, but also giving the humans working in those companies and in the manufacturing especially a higher qualified, a more fulfilling tasks to do. So I think it's in the long run, and that has been said in the very beginning. I think we should stress it once again. by using all the technologies, the workplace will be changing, and the workplace will be changing in a way that the humans are much more happy, that they are kind of not exploited, but rather enjoy doing their job. And what we need for that at the end is Mr. Pukal has mentioned that is education and skills, and we have to go towards this lifelong learning. And I think that's what we see now is that the SMEs are not having enough skilled labor to look for. So we are having manufacturers that look for the deployment of robotics and automation technologies, but they actually cannot do because they don't have the skilled labor they need to deploy this technology. So we need to invest in these skills, and we also need to invest in this lifelong learning culture. So I think in some countries it might already be there, but in many countries this is not yet in the minds of the people. So we have to really slowly develop our society towards I'm not learning for a job and then I'm doing this job for the rest of the life, but I really need to have this mindset. I need to progress and change my own skill set around my whole working life.
Sure. Well, very well said, very well captured, and I particularly liked the manner in which you put human at the center of the human robot or human machine collaboration, and also several other aspects that you touched upon, right? Which I think is the essence of this dialogue, which is Industry 4.0, and then eventually, as people talk about the power of the idea of Industry 5.0. Well, I want to check, if Ms. Davra is still available with us, and if I can pose one final question to you, ma'am.
Yes, I'm still available, and I've been listening to the conversation, the discussion.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. And we heard your opening comments, and I didn't want to end the session without inviting you to share your message for the industry and partners. Now that you've heard a full range of perspectives, from across the globe, really coming from a variety of different backgrounds, right? So my question to you is very simple. What is your message, as to the industry, and particularly to the industry here in India, as we set out to achieve, like you put it, a USD 5 trillion economy, and 1 trillion out of which, should be coming from the manufacturing sector?
I feel that as a policymaker, I should be more in the hearing mode, which I have been in the session, and there are no remarks I would like to make, except that we are fully committed to taking this ahead. And I did hear that there is a huge potential. Very early on in the talk, it was pointed out that there's a huge potential to take integration of Industry 4.0 forward, integrating it with industry. Fully committed to that, working in partnership with the industry and the think tanks and the multilateral organizations in taking this agenda ahead, bringing more awareness and sharing more cross learnings from other countries, and also the industry within India, which may have adopted 4.0 with more success than others. So fully committed to that. Thank you so much. Look forward to learning more and working with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Really appreciate those thoughts. Well, there you have it. We are almost on time. And first of all, I want to say that you all have been an outstanding panel. Thank you so much for your comments, also your insights. It's not just the breadth of the topics that you all brought to the table today, but it's also the depth. So it's been my privilege to be the moderator today. What I would say is that the perspectives that have been brought in have been at once diverse and also complementing to each other, and they've allowed us to sharpen our understanding of how the future of manufacturing and future of factories is going to evolve. I would also like to say that a number of insights that have come up today, which thoughts that you are leaving us with, and we're going to take these insights back to the work streams at the CII Smart Manufacturing Council, and I'm sure that these are going to be extremely valuable to us as we continue to refine our focus for the future. In many ways, Industry 5.0, the whole notion or the idea is a natural evolution of the Industry 4.0 approach, which, as was said earlier, we've barely begun to explore the full power of that, right? But at the same time, there needs to be a greater harmony between, the way in which manufacturing is transforming and evolving, for that to be in sync with the impact of manufacturing and being more sustainable, more human-centric, and more resilient, right? So, and also there was a lot of comment today about SMEs and MSMEs, and how they need to be supported in accelerating their adoption of these concepts. Well, I'll say, thank you so much to each one of you for joining us. I know for some of you it was rather early in the morning, and for some it was rather late in the evening, but really appreciate it, for the rich discussion and the dialogue. And with that, we'll conclude this session here. I do want to quickly check with you, Rajesh, if there's any other comment that you would like to make.
No, thank you very much. Just to say thank you to all of you. I mean, it is truly a global and a global partnership session that we had here, the Partnership Summit, which signifies people from across Asia, across Africa, and also Europe. Indeed, an excellent combination of all the regions, and also a combination from the industry and government, both giving their own perspectives on how this evolving Industry 5.0 or 4.0 to 5.0 is being done. So once again, thank you very much. We at CII and my colleagues, Poonam, who's also helped in putting together this program, will be able to take forward some of these discussions in consultation with you. Thank you, Mr. Sawhney, for excellently moderating this session. Once again, look forward to your kind support, as always, in our future endeavors. And please do continue watching and being part of the Partner Summit, which is still there tomorrow evening, in fact, India time. Thank you once again. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.